Welcome to the bottom line. My name is Benjamin Poole, and
I'm Gareth Soloway. How you guys doing today?
awesome. Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I was asking them, but you can answer too. That's all good,
I'm
man.
not sure how they can answer.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I'm expecting them behind their computers or whatever
Okay,
to be
so they're gonna be
talking
typing in?
or talking to us.
All
Yeah,
right.
even if we can't hear them.
Yeah.
But anyways, welcome
Hopefully
to the
you're
bottom
doing
line.
good. Yes.
It's Friday. That's good enough.
That's right. So we had a great reversal in the stock market yesterday.
That's right.
And what happened today?
Right back up. Right back up. I mean, listen, we haven't recovered. We haven't
That's
closed
true.
above the reversal engulfing candle, so it's technically not a full reversal yet. But I think we have to take away the fact that it's a 3-day weekend, so volume's light. The big
That's right.
traders have left already for the weekend, and so anytime you have light volume, you have to give that market a positive bias, and we're seeing that today.
Yeah. We did have a big bounce in NVIDIA as well, and it's starting to roll over kind of midday. So
But stocks like Dell and Qualcomm, like
all-time
holy
highs.
cow!
Did
just
you see
incredible.
First Solar too?
First Solar,
oh, man.
man.
I've got some levels for you guys on First Solar.
Well, you want to show them?
Okay, let's get right into it.
Don't forget, guys, this is the bottom line.
Yeah, that's right.
I just want to say that.
Yeah. This is why we bring him on.
I could screw around.
All right, so check this chart out. Just in the last 2 days, so this is on the weekly chart. So just this last week, we went from $197 all the way up to $277, $278. That's 40% in a week on First Solar. Why? Because they said that solar is now part of AI.
I'm just having fun over here, bro.
Part of AI. So, you're going to need more computing power.
Yeah.
And so,
That's right. I remember Denny's is AI too.
because people are going to start eating,
People
right?
are programming AI. They got to go eat, man.
That's right.
So everything's AI these days, guys. I think that's the point, is that it's gotten to that point of lunacy in the markets where, what the heck? It's AI. Just say it's AI.
Okay, so here are the levels that I have for the new AI play, First Solar. All right, so you've got this upsloping trend line. This is on the weekly chart, so it's a little kind of off, but that's all right. So I've got this trend line connecting these highs right here, and then I've got this upsloping trend line that connects right here, and is right close to double top. So this could move there.
They call double teaming.
Double teaming this thing. That's right. But you guys, this is such a vertical move. It's a thinner stock, so it's going to have big moves like this, and it's actually hard to borrow stock. So if you're on your stockbroker, you actually have to go to the intraday short locate, and ask them to borrow shares to short it. So this usually has more of an upside bias because people aren't in there being able to short it whenever they want.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good one. I mean, if it does get up there, that would be number one, incredible. Number two, yeah, I mean, it probably, you probably finally take a shot at a swing short maybe if it gets up to that 300 Pierce, huh?
Yeah, because it's blowing through. It did have a right around
276.
276.
There
There was a gap fill.
And it actually has just filled in the last 20 minutes or so.
Yep.
So it might be, but I think the point being that might be a small pullback zone, but you just have to respect how the momentum is carrying this right now. And let's be fair. I mean, we have the reversal candle on the markets, but there's no guarantees that we don't negate that in the coming days into next week with the holiday lighter volume around this holiday weekend. So, all right, so let's go over to me here. We can pan over here. I hope you guys like the art that I did on Ben, just because you know me. I guess when it's not the game plan or trading the close, I like to have a little bit of fun here. So what we have right here is the reversal engulfing candle. It came right off of this major trend line. So even though we're bouncing today, I'm not ready to totally throw out the potential for a bigger sell-off here. You have to respect the bigger candle until it's negated. How is it negated? Any close above that high of that day or yesterday would negate that. So it has to be a daily close. That's important. All right, so that's number one. So that would be my bottom line, if you will.
That's it. That's
You
right.
have to be looking at that point right there. Today, again, a little bit of a bounce, but we talked about how volume is just so light. I mean, like so ridiculously light. Because, again, I think yesterday, to be honest, a lot of the institutional guys, they probably were like, listen, I don't want to be around here on Friday. They had to be here yesterday because of NVIDIA's action and the craziness, and they didn't know what it was going to be, so they couldn't, like, leave ahead of that. But they did all their selling yesterday, and then they're like, all right, peace, and it lets the market float up a little bit today on extreme light volume. A chart I wanted to go over real quick here is this beautiful cool double top on natural gas.
With the
so
topping
again,
tail.
topping tail, double top, and you can see the reversal taking place. Extended chart. These are the high percentage charts that you want to look for. So really cool chart on that front. And I actually think that this has significant downside. So one of the things I'm noticing is, so you have this little pivot point right here. It was kind of a dip and then bounce and then the downside. So this to me stands out. And what I like to do is I like to do the fibs and to see if there's any sort of alignment here. So what we do is we do basically the low of this move up here, and what we see is the 50% fib retrace is essentially at that same level, right? So right here's the 50% fib retrace, right there it is, and you can see that that's at that same level. So again, does it mean that it can't go through there? No, but the confluence of those factors give me a little bit of confidence that if we did pull back here and you're short, you cover your short into here and maybe even flip it for a long to get a little bit of a bounce. So that's the gassy bottom line.
So yeah, and you also see this price consolidation
That's right.
here, and so that's
right.
going to give you additional support. And then if it does break down here, you've got the 618 right in this area, and then you have all this price action. So it could actually go back down, to basically $2.
That's right.
On natural gas, which is
All
a
right,
pretty
throw it
big
back to you.
floor-
Let's see
floor.
what do you got. What do we got?
All right, so we got Microsoft. All right, so there's this parallel channel that, man, this thing has wanted to break out. It's broken down below this parallel channel. Above this parallel channel, but it hasn't stayed above it, so it hasn't signified that it's got a breakout. And then I'm going to zoom in on yesterday's chart or candle, and as you can see, we have a reversal engulfing candle here as well. So this just gives me further confirmation that not only are we at the all-time highs having a reversal candle, but this price action to me tells me that it wants to go back down to the midline of this parallel channel. And so the midline, you're looking at, here, let me go and reset this. You're looking at right around $350. And that's a pretty significant drop for Microsoft.
That would be. You'd assume if that happens, then the markets have come in, the confluence of the daily S&P chart. All right, we'll jump back to mine real quick, do some quick fire, a few more charts here. Workday today, I highlighted this in the game plan this morning. This was your day trading level. It literally kissed it right there. You got your little bit of a technical bounce. That was a day trading bounce. But again, we've seen a lot of these kind of plays inclusive of, I would say, like Intuit, software plays. They've really been struggling. Intuit getting crushed today on earnings, as well as Workday here. And so again, just be aware that there are certain sectors that are winners. In fact, if you look at the advanced decline, the new highs and new lows on the market, it's actually gone negative, meaning that even though the stock market's at all-time highs, even before yesterday's sell-off, the amount of companies making a new high versus new low was actually negative, meaning more companies were making new lows. And again, what that shows you is that as much as we hear in the mainstream media that it's a broad-based rally, it's actually starting to really thin out. And needless to say, yesterday we know what the one stock was that kept this market from really collapsing yesterday. Remember, Dow was down 600 plus points. Imagine what would have happened to the S&P and the NASDAQ if NVIDIA was even flat on the day versus up 10%.
Oh, so that's the one you were talking about. I wasn't sure if it was like a penny stock or something, keeping it up.
Oh, these days, those penny stocks are crazy.
FFIE, come on.
That's right. Oh, I love this Dell chart. Tell them about this Dell chart here.
So this Dell chart, we had a big reversal on Dell a couple days ago, but I want you to notice something. It did put in this nice bull flag right here, kind of a bullish flag. So actually it indicated that the stock actually wanted to go higher. And so we actually got into this for a day trade today as well. There was a nice reversal signal. We got a little bit of a pullback, about $1, $1.50. Some people took, $2.
Yep.
But, it's starting to get really extended. Now, do I think that the move is over? No, not necessarily, because I don't have any indication. There hasn't given me a reversal signal yet.
But you do want to respect the channel at least. The channels should be pretty powerful, in terms of topping out here, right? Because, if we look at this is a parallel channel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, listen, nothing says it can't go a little bit higher, but at least if you can find a second or third factor, and that's going to be the key, right?
when stocks at our all-time highs, it's really difficult to find that second and third factor.
What would be some, like, tell them, like, what would be some of the things you could look for potentially to kind of get that? Because you're right, at all-time highs, you don't have a past pivot point. You know, it could be a trend line, but I guess the parallel channel is kind of like that. But what about like a fib extension maybe, like something like that?
100%. So when we're doing a fib extension, you want to take it from, let's take it from the top here and bring it down to the bottom. You don't have very good fib extensions on here. So to be honest, I don't have fib extensions on this chart. So I'd have to go back and actually look at it. One
thing to throw out, I just remembered this, is that next week Dell reports earnings. So that'll be really interesting with a company that has gone up so much. I mean, if you look at just where this thing was trading in earlier this year, I mean, what was it, around $80? And so it's gone up 100% just since it looks like February here. And they have earnings next week. That's going to be really interesting to see. Can they continue to go up? You know, I mean, it's 100% since March or February. And will they still go up on earnings? I guess we saw with NVIDIA, it was almost at all-time highs, although it had chopped around for a while, versus this one has really just curled up. But yeah, earnings next week. I'm not sure the date, but I'll talk about it in the game plan what's coming up.
Right. So one thing I would say is if you decide that you are going to take this parallel channel and use it to short, what you do is you'd put your, you would enter the trade right around the top of the parallel channel, and then any close or confirmation above, then you would just stop out, right? So it kind of keeps you safe. If you don't have additional factors, it's really tough to short stocks because it, you know, like you can see, it's keep going higher. So that's kind of what I wanted to mention.
Perfect. And I'll just jump in real quick. We're just going to cover Bitcoin and maybe gold real quick, just because I know people out there want it. You have your parallel channel. You're still kind of chopping around this area. I said it in the game plan this morning. You know, generally this is still a net bullish chart since you're still hovering up in this range. I wouldn't want to see a close below yesterday's low, but with the stock market floating today and risk being on, it's unlikely we'll see that. So again, Bitcoin right now would still be net bullish on the charts with an upside move to 74,000. Based on the parallel channel break above that. And then if we just flip to gold here real quick, just take a look at gold. Gold did break below a key level of support here on the chart, right? So you had this upsloping line. It did close below. I think personally this makes it vulnerable to retest this low right here, which will be that next level around 2280. If that breaks, we know that 2200 level is a huge level. The interesting thing about the 2200 level, I've talked about how I would probably be a buyer anywhere between here and here. Just below this is I believe this is the 618 right in here. Something, one of the fib levels anyways on the retrace. Might be the 382, but there's a fib level right in here. There's just a ton of massive support. This would be the retrace to the scene of the crime where we had the big breakout. So again, for me as a longer-term gold bull, I continue to just not accumulate any more unless it gives me a pullback.
Okay, here's the question though. Do you short it here?
On a bounce? You mean if it flushes down there?
Yeah, MA pattern, possible.
Very true.
I mean, that's going to be lots of resistance, right? If it breaks this level, gets down to the 2200 level, it comes back up.
That makes a lot of sense because, and again, we're getting really into the more minute moves here.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
In all fairness, you're right about that because what could happen is if you flush down here, you have this support, right? So let's just say we go straight down into this level. That would likely give you at least some sort of bounce. The bounce would then, so you could actually go long here. Then back here would be your retrace of your M pattern. You would short there for your next move, which would then bring us down to the scene of the crime, which was your longer-term breakout. So again, we're gaming out the potential here, multiple moves ahead, like chess, right? You got to think like 10 steps ahead, but yeah, that's very possible.
So although you would enter it here, don't expect it to just automatically stop there. Like a lot of M patterns, right? Your M pattern, your close is actually a close above the top of the M, right? And so you've got all this room from basically 2275 all the way up to 2425. So it's a lot of wiggle room. So be careful if you decide to do this or if it does create that pattern.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I think that's dead on there. All right, I think that's good enough for today's bottom line. What do you think?
Yeah,
anything else to mention?
No, enjoy the holiday weekend, you guys.
Right.
I mean, it's coming up. Right. It's going to be a lot of fun. And please note that these charts are for educational purposes only. Please do your own research when you're taking, when you're if you did decide to take these. So, yeah.
Yeah, should we just say it?
Yep.
And that's the bottom line.
All right, take care.